How's it going, guys? Today I'm here with Sam Levin. He's the host of the Bro Cave Sports Podcast.
What's going on?
All right, before we really get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and the podcast, and just like your guests, like who's on it, and what's just your format?
Yeah, so I started this podcast in 8th grade when I was bored during COVID, and little did I know that a little love for talking just about sports and some of my best friends. We ended up starting Bro Cave Sports, and now almost 5 years later, 13 days until that happens, we just had our 72nd episode 2 days ago. And we've interviewed, for example, the last one we just had was Matt Scott, who is on Team USA Basketball. We've had Matt Gay, who was the highest paid kicker at the time, and Matt Eisman, who runs American Ninja Warrior.
Oh, Sam, when you first hear the word leader, what comes to mind?
I think someone that commands a group of people or a person. And that could be by showing them what to do, or it could be by being an example, which I think is the bigger thing when it comes to being a leader.
Some traits we can observe from Sam's idea of a leader is that he wants them to be supportive, empowering, and avoid micromanagement. Some corrections we'd like to make to that are that we want to avoid over-delegation, provide structure and direction, and use influence tactics.
So, I really have a lot. So when I then have to delegate, I get a little nervous and hesitant to give up the reins, which is a part of being a leader.
Going off of what Sam believes a leader should be, we're able to observe some traits such as being friendly and relationship-oriented. However, the main corrections that we would like to implement are you have to balance likability with task structure and make sure you are a transformative leader that has influence within the hierarchy.
So there are definitely naturally born leaders, and especially in sports, you can see it just from either maybe their parent being a famous coach, or just, you saw their evolution. They've always been a leader of men or women to the highest degree. But I think that there are some traits that you can develop over time. And I think one thing for a leader is authenticity. Whether you're going to be a coach or a leader that screams their head off or only uses its words wisely during practices and games, they can tell if you're authentic or not. And that's the biggest thing about a leader. If you're faking it, then at the end of the day, people will see right through you and not be able to trust you.
It's clear that Sam likes the idea of leading by example and being true to yourself. But once again, we see a lack of structure. Without structure, people won't always be the most efficient, which leads to a heavier load on himself, resulting in a worse product.
Who's actually leading. So I think when it comes to being a leader, being able to cultivate the group from a very early on and get to know them from a personal level will really help you as a leader. I think if you come in just demanding respect because you think you're all that, then in the end it will actually backfire on you and people won't gravitate towards you.
Sam's approach of being a hands-off, growth-oriented leader really speaks to me. However, I believe that a correction that can be made is you need to still be able to apply structural leadership by giving guidance and structure and allowing your employees and people you're leading to grow through guidance.
A enhancement or something that will help you lead well, but if you yourself aren't a good leader, it does not matter the structure. It's just the structure will collapse.
Sam says he agrees that a good leader can create a successful situation. However, he avoids being the center of attention. Applying inspirational motivation to energize and guide others is crucial to being an effective leader.
With different leadership styles, I think in the beginning I was much different than I am now. Right now, I'm someone who's grateful for all the help I can get. So I really try to make those connections through Bro Cave, whether it be an employee, intern, guest. I really try to get to know them on a personal level. And then that has really cultivated my leadership style of then being able to lead from a personal level.
A trait that I really liked from the segments was his ability to be a listener and a learner. Not every leader is good at hearing feedback and hearing how to improve their leadership and improve through failure and through growth from other outside perspectives. However, you still need to avoid messing with the structure too much and giving too much power to other people, or else the structure might collapse from its foundation.
Situation possible. So for that, I'm going to go with I'm more of a strategic leader.
Sam shows traits of mentorship and encouragement, but he needs to use strategic influence to guide others. He also needs to lose his micromanagement trait. He doesn't have to do everything and be on top of everything. If he sets a good structure, the job will be done correctly, and this is something he really needs to improve on in his leadership role.
Getting guests, we had to reshape us putting podcasts out weekly versus monthly, or it just wasn't as even. And how we go about it is you have to put the work in. I realized that if we're going to take on this challenge of just trying to interview people every single time, that means more work, more writing people, more networking. So it just involved me working a little harder.
From this segment, we were able to see Sam provide emotional support, mentorship, and dedication, and those traits really shine. The only correction that I really see is there has to be situational flexibility, where you have to add coaching and directive behaviors onto how to influence the people you're trying to lead. By just supporting them 24/7, you're not going to lead to their growth, and you're going to kind of get stuck in a standstill in terms of what you're able to achieve.
System is important to know, okay, this is the person making the decisions. If there wasn't someone that had a lot of power, then people might slack off or feel a little comfortable, when you should always feel uncomfortable. Never get too comfortable.
Going back to what I said earlier, I still do agree that it is a really good trait for Sam to empower others by stepping back. However, I think he does really need to focus on, as I said before, avoiding laissez-faire, by using transformative leadership and motivation to direct and lead his team, rather than just delegating it all to themselves to figure out for themselves, as there needs to be structure within a system in order for it to work, for the way it's intended to work.
Involved and active and engaged, because if people see that you're not trusting them with things, they're not going to trust you.
It's clear that he is observant in the fact that he knows what others are thinking and he cares about it. To really enhance his leadership character, he needs to engage in transformational techniques such as inspiring and motivating others.
I think leadership is ever just useful for one situation. Obviously, there's situational leadership, but anything you learn in one place you can apply to another. It adds to your toolbox. Let's say every different situation you get to put in, your leadership style can change or be enhanced. So for this sports, I have one style, and then when I do school, I take some of the things I learned and use it for the next thing.
Finally, a trait that I do think Sam possesses is being a empathetic and belief-driven leader. We're able to see this countless times, but the only thing that I would like to add to it is he needs to focus on setting goals and using feedback, and by having structure. But overall, he needs more structure, and if he is more structured, I think that his leadership ability would skyrocket in efficientness.
All right, that closes it out. Thank you for your time, Sam.
Thank you for having me.
Some final thoughts relating this host and this interview and his leadership style, starting with every single clip, going from the beginning of the interview towards the end. I think that the host, Sam, is a very well-spoken individual, and that we're able to see time and time again his leadership approach is more of someone who wants to kind of stay back and let his team grow and get experience for themselves, which I do think is a really good thing. And you don't see a lot of leaders doing that. A lot of leaders kind of want to delegate and kind of be this overbearing leader who wants to micromanage everything and not allow an employee to improve their skills by going through the process of failing, trying again, and being supported by the person who wants them to perform for them. So I think overall he is a really good leader. The only thing I said I would change is, it kind of goes back to this whole interview, would be I think that Sam needs more structure. A hands-off approach is good, and like I said, it does help growth a lot. The only major drawback is it can prevent you from achieving goals with efficiency. as without having structure, dedicated deadlines, like tasks and like goals that you need to reach, without having the structure within a system, you kind of have like people you're trying to lead become lazy, become distracted, not really feel as if it is essential and time is of the essence in order to get tasks done. This is the only thing that I think Sam really needs to improve on, is forming structure within his leadership.